Assisted suicide, the battles are just beginning. I'm Brian Lilly with the Rebel.media. Now, the Justice Minister, the Health Minister, and the House Leader of the Liberal government all walked into the National Press Theatre on Thursday morning and made the announcement. Legislation on physician-assisted suicide in Canada had been tabled. The government was moving forward and hoped to have the legislation passed by June.
This is an historic day for our country. Last year, the Supreme Court of Canada declared that the Criminal Code prohibitions on assisted dying were unconstitutional. Today, we have introduced legislation that would amend the Criminal Code to allow medical assistance in dying.
Now, I said at the beginning, the battles are just beginning. You have to ask why. Well, this legislation is not going to please anyone. In fact, it angers people on all sides of the debate. Some interpret this legislation as going, well, not quite as far as the Supreme Court called for in their decision last year. Jody Wilson-Raybould, the Justice Minister, described how this is a bill that seeks to comply with the Supreme Court decision, but also imposes restrictions on who can and who cannot access assisted suicide.
This legislation would apply to mentally competent adults who are in an advanced stage of irreversible decline. Those who are suffering intolerably from a serious mental condition and are on a foreseeable course towards the end of their lives.
Activists for assisted suicide are already saying this is far too restrictive. They want the mentally ill to be able to access assisted suicide. Some are saying that mature minors, meaning those under 18, say 15, 16, or 17-year-olds, should be able to access assisted suicide. And there are questions over whether the terminology around how far along you have to be in your illness is too restrictive. So you can expect that to be challenged. You can also expect to be challenged the fact that there need to be 2 witnesses, 2 doctors. This will be considered onerous by many. And then on the other side of the debate, those who say this legislation does not protect doctors or nurses who do not want to take part. The battles are really just beginning. This is something that's going to be playing out in the courts for some time to come. The Liberal government was in a bit of a pickle. This is an issue that Parliament debated many times, voted on many times, and overwhelmingly, MPs from pretty much every party voted against it, including the Liberal Prime Minister, including the Liberal House Leader that had to help introduce this legislation. And now their hand has been forced by the Supreme Court. They've got to act, but they're also trying to respect the wishes of those in their caucus, those in other parties, and those Canadians who say there need to be restrictions. But there are restrictions, and the activists aren't happy. Expect more court battles to come. Expect challenges to this legislation as soon as it's passed.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.